About 2 days ago at GDC 2019, Google announced their all-new cloud gaming platform, Google Stadia. And in today's video, I'm going to be giving you 5 reasons why I feel like Google Stadia is going to completely fail. Before I get into this list, I just wanted to take this time to say I am not a Google hater. In fact, in both my professional and personal life, I both use and highly recommend Google products. That's including Google's G Suite as well as GCP or Google Cloud Platform, which actually gives me a little bit of special knowledge when it comes to this whole cloud gaming platform, considering I've been using Google Cloud for the last year or two. Okay, so with that disclaimer out of the way, let's get into the video. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and assume you already know what Google Stadia is. I mean, how could you not? It's pretty much been flooding all of the timelines all over the internet, whether it be Twitter or Instagram or YouTube. Everybody's pretty much talking about this new cloud gaming platform. But just in case there is someone out there who isn't familiar with Google Stadia and what it is a cloud gaming platform, meaning you don't need any type of hardware except for Google's proprietary controller, of course, to actually play a bunch of AAA titles or assumably in-house developed titles by Google's new gaming studio. Essentially, Google has a bunch of really powerful computers and data centers scattered all over the world, and they're going to allow you to remote into these computers and play video games on them. Starting off with reason number 5, and that is actually going to be video quality. Now, this is going to be very similar to as if you were to watch a YouTube video after it's first been uploaded, or possibly if you're watching a Netflix video and your internet might be acting a little bit wonky and you notice those big squares and it's a little bit pixelated. This is actually something called video compression. Now, this is something or a strategy that's been used that's pretty much industry-wide in order to avoid you having stuttering video or video that's going to be completely stopped or buffering. You definitely don't want to have that in cloud gaming situations because that'll remove you from the action. So what they generally do is they actually drop the quality of the video, and it's something you can definitely see if you are using any type of cloud gaming platform. On average, between you and your favorite website, there's somewhere in the neighborhood of around 23 hops or 23 different devices you have to go through to actually receive the data that you're requesting from that particular website. And even if you make the argument that Google can reduce the amount of hops, still between your home router and your actual ISP, there's still going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of around 10 different nodes or 10 different hops that you have to actually go through. And it's going to be even worse if you're in a situation like using cable internet where you're actually going to be pooling all of your data between you and all your next door neighbors. So pretty much no matter what you do, considering you're relying on other pieces of hardware to both send and receive data in a timely fashion, you're going to run into situations where you have variable bandwidth, and because of that, you are going to see a dip in video quality. Reason number 4, competition. So let's be honest, Google is not the first horse to this race. You've got a bunch of other companies such as Nvidia with their GeForce Now, PlayStation with PlayStation Now, Xbox with xCloud, and Shadow with Shadow. And that's just to name a few. And something you'll notice about 3 of the 4 companies that I just mentioned, they have years and years of experience in the gaming industry, they know exactly what gamers want, and 2 of those 3 companies actually have an extremely strong community backing them, both PlayStation and Xbox. Now, if I was a betting man, I'd put my money on Microsoft, who has both data center experience as well as a really strong gaming community with Xbox, but more on that later on in this video. Reason number 3, latency. Now let's be honest, some gamers complain when they have a TV that has input lag that's too slow. Now imagine sending that data over the internet and through your TV. You're talking about even more latency. Now, I'm not going to get too much into this because a lot of what I said in reason number 5 actually applies here. You have data coming from your finger that's going through the controller, over the Wi-Fi, over the internet, hopping a bunch of times to the data center, and then a reaction coming back into your eyes. There's going to be latency no matter what you do, and unfortunately that's just the nature of cloud gaming. However, I have played with games in NVIDIA GeForce Now that have been really a slither, and they've gotten much better, but no matter what, there's always going to be a bit of latency. And for a lot of people, this just isn't going to cut it. Reason number 2, the internet. Now, this is actually the largest factor that's going to work against pretty much all of the cloud gaming platforms, not just Google. But inherently, most people in America have bad internet, and that's basically based off of the age of our infrastructure. Did you guys know the average home internet connection is about 18 megabits per second? And believe it or not, you need 5 megabits per second to actually stream a 1080p Netflix video. 25 megabits if you want to stream 4K, and most likely they're talking about upload because of the way TCP/IP works. You have to send data to receive it, but I digress. The reason why I'm mentioning the internet is because most people do not have the bandwidth to support these cloud gaming platforms. In order to stream data at a high bit rate is going to require a lot of throughput, and with the average home connection actually being 18 megabits per second, I'm not exactly sure how they plan on accomplishing this. So you're probably thinking to yourself, why don't you just upgrade your internet connection or switch your ISP? Now, if you actually think about that, you're actually asking someone to spend more money per month on their current internet connection, which might have been good enough. And that added cost will actually get me into my next reason that we'll talk about in just a moment. And as far as the argument to just switch your ISP, not everyone has this available to them. In fact, somebody like me, I've moved around in the last 4 to 5 years, and I've only had one ISP available to me this entire time. Now let's talk about the other side of the internet, and that is actually going to be your home infrastructure. Most people are actually using the ISP provided modem or router. Now inherently, most of these devices are generally to keep costs down, and they don't offer you the best bandwidth possible that you can get out of your home internet connection. A lot of these wireless routers don't offer enough throughput, and generally they offer pretty bad connections, and I don't exactly see an Ethernet port on the Google controller. The point I'm trying to make with all of this is Google seems to be targeting the average user, and the average user seems to have really bad internet. I'm not exactly sure how Google plans on overcoming this with their Stadia technology, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see once the product actually releases. Okay, and for reason number one as to why I think Google Stadia is going to completely fall on its face, and that is going to be price tag. So Google hasn't actually released any pricing information for the Stadia service. However, I think with some critical thinking, we can kind of figure it out. So first things first is we don't know how Google's going to release the product. Are they going to go Netflix style and give you one monthly fee and allow you to play all the games that you want? Or are they going to go more a la carte like GeForce Now and Shadow and pretty much allow you to bring your games from other platforms in, such as Uplay or Steam or Origin, and just give you a platform to actually play those titles on? So let's put this up into two different scenarios. Let's start with scenario number A, which is more of the Netflix style. Most likely if they go this route, it's going to land around $50 to $60 per month. And there's actually going to be two different problems with this. Most likely it's not going to be very profitable because, to be honest with you, to run these data centers is extremely expensive. My monthly fee that I generally look at is in the multiple thousands of dollars every single month, and we're running much slower hardware than what they'd possibly be offering you out for one of these services. So this is probably going to be not very profitable for them on that end unless they plan on bleeding money. And then again, it is Google. They have a ton of money to actually bleed out to see if maybe they can get rid of the competition. So we don't exactly know, but this isn't going to be very profitable. But even if it isn't profitable, I don't exactly think gamers are going to want to spend $50 to $60 per month, because if you think about it, you could probably 6 months or a year of this Google Cloud service would actually pay for an Xbox or a PlayStation. That's a one-time fee, and those consoles generally have a 5 to 10 year life cycle, so generally they're not, most likely it's going to be hard to get a big audience to go over to this platform at that price tag. So now let's look at scenario number B, and that is going to be more a la carte style. Now if you look at other services out in the market similar to PlayStation Now and Shadow, I believe Shadow charges somewhere in the neighborhood of around $30 to $35 per month for this service. It's going to still be a little bit hard. That price tag is a little bit high. I think we need to come down a bit, around to the $10 to $15 per month, considering the fact that you still would have to spend $60 for every single title that you end up purchasing, any AAA title or anything like that. If you're still going to be going into a Steam library or anything like that, it might be a little bit affordable, but I don't think that's exactly the route Google wants to go. I don't think they want to piggyback off of Steam and Origin and Uplay. I think they really just want their own platform and their own games or developers to build on top of their platform. And because of that, is sort of a fuzzy area, but if they're going to go this route, it needs to be considerably cheap. So that's just the pricing for the service. Now we need to talk about the hardware. Google is making it seem as if there isn't much of a hardware buy-in, or there isn't a hardware buy-in, but there definitely is. So if you want to play on something like your TV, they're recommending the Chromecast Ultra, which still is going to cost around the $70 price tag. And then if you actually probably consider that controller, looking at how advanced it is, most likely I assume it's going to cost somewhere in the neighborhood of around $100. So I know this is just a guesstimate, but I think it's going to land around that price tag. combined with the Chromecast Ultra, and I assume they're probably going to come out with another Chromecast that might have a hardwire just to make sure that you're going to get, you know, the best connection you could possibly get. Most likely this is going to still fall in the neighborhood of around $200 to $250 for buying for hardware, and then again you're kind of encroaching on that price tag of purchasing a Nintendo Switch or purchasing a PlayStation 4, etc. All in all, I think when it comes to the price tag, most people are going to do the math and they're going to figure out that it's just not worth it. I know I just spent a ton of time bashing Google Stadia. However, I just want to mention that I do think some of the ideas that they actually have are pretty revolutionary and things that we haven't actually seen. I think the technologies such as crowd share and state share are really awesome, giving you the ability to play a game with one of your favorite streamers if you're into that kind of thing. Also giving you the ability to build challenges or maybe people joining into challenges. And I've got to say, if I personally, if the service is cheap enough and I do subscribe to it, I definitely would participate in these kind of things because I think that stuff is actually really cool. But the one thing that they did mention that I really didn't like was the inclusion of Google Assistant, so you can find tutorials and make easy games even easier mode. In conclusion, here's what I think Google needs to do to make Google Stadia succeed. Number one, they need to price the service somewhere in the neighborhood of around $10 to $15, $25 the most, but they need to make it really affordable and really cheap and also really awesome. And then number two, they need to provide all of their subscribers either free or really cheap Google Gigabit Fiber. Yeah, I know, really unrealistic, but that's really what it's gonna take. But I wanna know what you guys think about Google Stadia down in the comment section below. Also, while you guys are down there, if you like this video, hit the like button, and if it's your first time to the channel, consider subscribing. Once again, guys, my name is Fran. Thanks for checking out this video, and I'll see you guys in my next one.